Hey there. Welcome to CyberPulse by Quantum Shield, the podcast where we make cybersecurity less intimidating and a lot more exciting. Every episode, we're diving into the latest digital drama, from sneaky hackers to the coolest defense strategies, all while sharing tips you can actually use. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's navigate this crazy digital world together.
All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling cloud security, always a hot topic.
Absolutely.
We've got a ton of best practices straight from the source. We'll be sure to link to that in the show notes, by the way. But let's jump right in because, well...
time is precious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so is our data. That's what this all boils down to, right? Keeping that cloud data safe and sound.
Absolutely.
So, first up, strong access controls and identity management. Sounds kind of basic, but...
it's foundational.
Yeah.
You don't build a house on sand, right?
Yeah.
You need that strong foundation. Same with cloud security.
I like that.
If you don't have a handle on who can access what, you're basically just leaving the door wide open.
A recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And that's why we see unauthorized access as a leading cause of breaches.
Okay, so it's more than just, like, having a good password, then.
Oh, for sure. Strong passwords are important, but on their own, not enough.
Right.
We're talking about multi-factor authentication, MFA.
MFA, right.
That extra layer of security, you know, like you need the password ADD, that code from your phone or email. Simple, but so effective.
Definitely. Like, even if someone snoops out your password, they're not getting in without that second factor.
Exactly. It makes it so much harder for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then RBAC is huge, too. Role-based access control.
RBAC. Okay. I'll admit, sometimes these acronyms throw me for a loop.
No worries. Basically, it's about making sure that people within your organization only have access to the information they need for their job. Not everything.
Makes sense. Like, just because I can see everyone's contact info shouldn't mean I can see their salaries.
Exactly.
Detail.
It's all about limiting that blast radius if something does happen.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So moving on, let's talk data encryption and privacy. This one always seems a bit, I don't know, mysterious.
It sounds more complicated than it is. Think of it like sending a postcard versus a sealed letter.
Okay.
A postcard, anyone can read it, right? That's your data without encryption, exposed. A sealed letter, that's encrypted. Only the person with the key can open it and read what's inside.
So encryption is like that seal, protecting the data. But why does this matter so much, especially for people who aren't, like, tech experts?
Regulations, my friend. Think GDPR, CCPA. These days, there are rules about how data is collected, stored, used, and you got to be in the know.
So even if we're not the ones setting up the encryption, we got to understand it? Got it.
Precisely.
Okay, moving right along. Secure configuration and monitoring. This sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I'm sure there's more to it.
You got it. Proactive, not reactive. You want to bake security into your cloud setup from the get-go. Strong passwords, firewalls, keeping everything patched.
So it's not just about responding to threats, it's about preventing them in the first place.
100%. And that's where monitoring comes in. Think of it like a security system for your house. You don't just install it and forget about it. You want those alerts, those notifications. That's what continuous monitoring does.
Keeps you in the loop.
Exactly. Automated security checks 24/7.
Speaking of which, those security logs, I'll admit, sometimes I just glance over them.
Don't let them become just background noise. They hold valuable info. Like, if someone's trying to break in, that's how you'll know.
Okay, good point. Can't ignore the logs. So we've got our defenses up, we're monitoring for threats, but what happens if something does slip through the cracks?
Incident response and disaster recovery plan to the rescue. Like, imagine your house has a fire drill, right?
You don't wait for the fire to figure out what to do, you practice.
Exactly. Same with security incidents. A good plan tells you exactly what to do, who does what, how to contain the damage, and get back up and running.
So regular testing is key. Makes sense. All right, last but not least, vendor management. This one often gets overlooked.
Big time. And it's so important. We're essentially trusting these providers with our data, right?
True. We're relying on their security measures.
You got to do your homework, check their security practices, their certifications, ask the tough questions. Do they undergo audits? What kind of encryption do they use?
And it's all got to be in writing, right? Like part of the contract. Can't just be a verbal agreement.
Absolutely not. Transparency is key here.
So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. It's a lot to digest, but super important stuff. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Remember, cloud security is a journey, not a destination. It's all about layers of protection, staying vigilant, and choosing those cloud providers wisely.
Couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, if you want to keep learning, we've got some great resources linked in the show notes. NIST, SANS Institute. Until next time, stay safe out there.
Thanks for hanging out with us on CyberPulse. Remember, cybersecurity doesn't have to be scary. It's all about staying sharp and a little bit savvy. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't let those cyber gremlins get you down. Catch you next time, and until then, stay safe, stay smart, and keep crushing it online.